not ready to go yet, okay? I'm not ready. You gotta wait. I got shit to do. I'm in the middle of something, all right? Just hold on.
Watch your mouth or don't come in here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, people, come on, we're adults here. You know what? What is the point?
Yeah, we're adults here. I got a fucking Burger King fucking thing on my head. We're all fucking adults here, guys. People, in my chat, 2 words. What are they? 2 words. Let me see the chat flood. Let me see the chat flood. 2 words. Okay, next caller. Please. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, which translate in American to dick and balls.
I got flip-flops. These are my flip-flops. Yeah, I really like my flip-flops because I can put them on. Because look, watch me put them on. I can put them on all by myself. Watch me put them on. Look, are you watching? Look, these are my flip-flops.
Thanksgiving Day. I remember it clearly. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was inserting myself in somebody else's fucking business as a cash grab, and you know.
This channel is harsh reality.
Kareniak se jodió la sucia vida. Amen.
This is Jonathan Lee Riches. I have cheeseburgers. I'm gonna put cheese on them. I'm gonna make sure that I have my hamburgers because I'm a big boy now and I can make the hamburgers. My mom lets me use the stove now.
And I'm just like, wow, I like receipts, and they brought receipts. Like they had evidence to back up everything they said. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be another side to this, right? Like this can't. No, this is too fantastic.
Yeah, because you're not going to just jump to the conclusion that there's a conspiracy amongst cops to cover up a murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, cops and just like soccer moms and shit. Like that's what made it even crazier. Like,
yeah, get it, Betty. Yeah,
did you have a close relationship with your mom?
Get it, Betty.
Oh, of course, I still do.
Yeah.
My older sister was kind of she was more of the prissy girl that like going
that is
and
the
getting their
best
hair done.
shit fucking
Shopping for
ever.
dresses with mommy. I was the tomboy that liked playing with
Shout out to Cherry for just being easily the most faithful and loyal supporter that I've ever had, man. That someone could have that tenacity with loyalty. And I'm really blessed to have someone like Cherry be part of this channel and in my life. So it means a lot. And yes, I named him after Mr. T and Rocky. Say, woman. Say, woman. Say, woman. Since your old man ain't got no heart, why don't you come down to my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man. Oh my God, I'm so in love with this little dude. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I love you guys very, 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 very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Oh, say bye. Say bye. Oh, I love you too. Give me a kiss. Oh, I love you. Bye, guys.
Karen left the waterfall, bound for Fairview Road. people are talking about John O'Keefe sneakers. What are they saying?
On the bottom, white. He goes, no. He's like, no, bro, that shit is fucking black, dude. Like, you can see the snow on top of it. Look at it, dude. Use your eyes.
It appears that the sole of the shoe is darker in color. It might be the lighting. It might be the snow packed onto it.
Shadows don't work like that, bro, where you can see white, and I mean white, right here, dude, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, dude. Shadows don't fucking work like that.
Yeah, and it's a big discussion online, too. Everyone is posting pictures of the shoe in the snow next to the shoe in evidence and saying one has a black sole, one has a white sole. People have researched that Nike makes a shoe that looks like that with a black sole, with the white around the side of the sole, but the bottom being black. So there's a lot of controversy about that, and we'll see how it manifests itself inside of the courtroom, how far the defense goes with it through cross-examination, etc.
Like, you can see the shape of the sole, the design of the goddamn shoe, bro.
What is that, a left or a right sneaker, sir?
This is the left sneaker. Excuse me, this is the right sneaker from 34 Ferry Road, Kansas.
Yes, you are. Sure. If you could put the speaker back in the bag and let Mr. Brennan bring the bag over, please.
What was that?
I don't care what you say. That is not the same fucking shoe.
Is there a theory that a shoe was planted? Where did that shoe come from? Where's the other shoe with the white? How did someone have another Nike with a black sole? There's a lot of questions that it raises.
It doesn't take a fucking attorney to see that that's a fucking black-soled shoe, dude. It takes someone with eyes.
What are we doing, magic tricks here? Eklund, what just happened? What is that?
Foolishness, because that's not the same sneaker. Listen, I am not a sneakerhead by any means, but that is two different sneakers. I think this would open the door to like a My Cousin Vinny type moment in which you make a sneakerhead an expert.
I don't like your attitude.
What else is new?
I'm holding you in contempt of court.
Oh, there's a fucking surprise.
What'd you say?
What?
What'd you just say?
What'd I say? What?
Fuck about being right in the public's eye. I give a fuck about it. Right? I just need to know. Does Karen Reed and her team know that is not the same fucking shoe? That's all I want to know.
I asked Karen Reed about it after court today. Take a listen. Karen, there's a debate over the shoes. Do they match from the picture to what John was wearing?
Just look at the evidence. Look at the pictures. I didn't collect them. I've seen that, though.
That is a different fucking shoe.
And then there's another picture of two shoes side by side. The way that picture is shot, one looks bigger than the other. One looks darker than the other, more dirty, I would say.
Dude, that is clearly a shoe with a black sole.
What was that? I mean, he's saying that's the shoe that was found on the curb. No, that was yesterday in the left shoe. Take a listen now. They take this break, this mysterious break, and then they come back and it's like, oh, that never happened. Take a listen to this.
late night, my friends. It's good to see you guys. Oh man. Oh, we got started late, man. But it's all good. My Insomniacs are here, my McClanes. Because in Die Hard, John McClane didn't have no choice. He had glass in his feet. Okay. Who in the hell? Let's see. Somebody's trolling me. Hold on. Oh, they're gone. Never mind. Anyway, it's good to see you guys. Listen, it's a different fucking shoe. Okay? It's a different shoe. Listen. I got it all right here. Okay.
Spotlight hits the courtroom floor. Trooper Bukaki strolls through the door. Evidence bag looking kinda off. The glare squints, gives a righteous scoff. He said, "That ain't the shoe I saw. You're all blind to the fatal flaw." Everyone laughed, but deep inside they feared the truth that he couldn't hide.
It's a different fucking shoe.
The glare was right. Yeah. About the shoe and the lights. It don't match what we saw that night. Funky soul, we're on strike too tight. He don't miss, he don't bend. He's the truth from start to end. He's the glare in the mirror ball's glow, and he told you so. Trooper Bukaki reached in the sack, pulled the shoe that was way off track, but Glare knew from the heel to toe it was a fashion felony. Case closed. The jury gasped. The judge said, "Wait," but the Glare already sealed their fate. With a single stare like disco steel, he turned the courtroom into a dance ordeal. He spins, he points, he struts real slow, shoe in hand with that righteous glow. He moonwalks past your weak defense and serves subpoenas with elegance. Oh, the Glare was right. Woo! He don't need hindsight. That mismatched shoe won't see daylight. Truth is funky and fierce tonight. He's the judge, he's the jury, he's the groove. When the Glare says it, you better move. Right about the shoe and everything too. G-L-A-R-E-R, he outdanced you. Glare don't lie, Glare slide. That shoe was wrong and now you cry. Stay incorrect, stay incorrect. Stay incorrect.
There you go. That's all you need to know. Okay? That's all you need to know. It's a different shoe. Okay? I will have satisfaction by the end of this trial. Mark my words that I will have satisfaction by the end of this trial. Okay? Now let's see. Let's see what Vinnie Politan has to say about this. Let's watch the whole thing now, shall we?
In the biting cold of a Massachusetts winter, the body of Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found lifeless in the snow outside of 34 Fairview Road in Canton. His injuries were brutal: head trauma, abrasions, and evidence of a prolonged exposure to the elements. The woman who claimed to love him, Karen Reed, quickly became the center of a swirling storm of suspicion. Prosecutors painted a chilling narrative that she, in a drunken fury, struck him with her SUV and left him to die. The first trial ignited a firestorm. Reed's supporters protested outside the courthouse, waving signs and chanting. Inside, her defense raised pointed questions about missing data, biased investigators, and the blue wall of silence. The jury could not agree. and it was a mistrial. Now, as the second trial is underway, the stakes are even higher. The courtroom is once again a battleground as the search for the truth about what really happened that freezing January night continues. And today, more dramatic testimony and cross-examination of one of the most crucial investigators in the case, Trooper Buchanan. And we are live from the courthouse with all the big moments from inside the courtroom as the retrial of the century continues.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard. And, you know, think back to that first trial. I mean, everything seemed to go right for the defense, and they were awfully close to an acquittal. You know, what we learned from the jury afterwards through the motion papers and everything else that was filed is that the jury had found Karen Read not guilty on counts 1 and 3. And then on count 2, they were debating the lesser included. Like, that is the best case scenario for a defendant if the jury is going to get hung on something. It's the lesser included of the lesser charge. That's as close as you can come to an acquittal in this case. And that's where she was last time. And like I said, a lot of things were going her way in that first trial. Let's begin with the distorted evidence from that Sallyport video. Right there, this is what was shown to the jury, which is completely inaccurate. It takes the right side of the SUV and turns it into the left side and turns the left side into the right side of the SUV. Completely distorting left from right in a case where the right taillight and the left taillight are really, really important. And prosecutors put that evidence, distorted evidence, in front of the jury. And it was the defense who had to expose that. Expose the fact that the prosecutor did it and the witness did not acknowledge that that video did not accurately depict what it was supposed to be showing. It was a big deal.
Oh, okay. All right, Vinny. But the problem with that is that I don't feel like you're getting to what is really important quick enough. Okay? I don't think you are. I don't think you're doing that. And it's really frustrating me because this is what actually matters. Okay? This is what actually matters.
The Guerrero's right about the shoe. The shoe
I mean,
is not the same in the picture in court as the shoe pulled from the evidence bag by Trooper Buchanan.
And he's not getting it. I was right about the shoe. Good. Bukkake! You can say it again? Oh, I thought he was going to say bukkake one more time. No more bukkake! Oh my god, that's the funniest shit ever. Bukkake!
Bukkake!
Oh my god, that is so much fun. It's too much fun. Oh my god. Okay, Vinny, let's get back to you, buddy.
Deal when it happened, and a big break that you can't plan for, but something that sort of fell into the lap of the defense. Then you had the suspicious searches, right? And Haslong to die became a big one. And then there was a battle of the experts, and the defense expert did well last year. The prosecution expert did okay. This year, they retooled that expert. So just like that Sallyport video, which will not be inverted in front of the jury in this retrial, the evidence, the expert evidence regarding the suspicious Google searches of Jennifer McCabe, the prosecution reached back in and got some more ammo to try to fight that allegation that Jennifer McCabe was searching how long to die Nicole at 2:27 in the morning. Now, they may or may not be successful, but they brought in more evidence to combat and to refute the defense's allegation and to fight the defense expert. So they brought in reinforcements. So an issue that they did pretty well in the first trial with, the prosecution had an opportunity to retool. Then there's the biased lead investigator, Michael Proctor, former trooper Michael Proctor. It was bad. We know it was bad. This was a witness and information about this witness that, again, fell into the laps of the defense just before the trial. All that information from his cell phone, all that incriminating information that ended up making him lose his job, what they uncovered on his personal phone was a result of the federal investigation. Defendants normally don't get the personal phone data of investigators in a murder case. They just don't. I mean, they may try, but they don't get it. But the feds did get it, and then the feds gave it to both sides, and obviously the defense used it. That was a gift just before the beginning of the trial last year. And it seemed like Lally was defensive, the prosecutor last year, and they were kind of sliding their way through trying to deal with their lead investigator being like, well, you saw what happened inside the courtroom. Well, now this year, you know, they have a year to figure out, all right, how do we deal with this? And it seems like what they're doing is trying to and attempting to really downplay the role of Trooper Proctor or former Trooper Proctor in this case.
This shit out.
He's really not.
I love that Vinny's calling this shit. I mean, it's what's done is done. I'm always gonna be like, what the fuck took you so long? You know what I mean? I'm always gonna be like that. Sorry, Vinny, but it is what it is. But at the same time, it's really refreshing to hear Vinny like, because I feel like he's been wanting to say this shit for a long time. You know what I mean? I feel like he's been wanting to, and he just hasn't been able to for whatever reason. But now he's like finally getting to say what he wants to say. Because I know, like, that's why, like, I would like super chat him when he's doing shit on his own, like on his independent channel. I would like super chat him and just be like, dude, say it. I know you want to say Karen Reed is innocent. I know you want to.
That important. He wasn't that much of a big deal in all
and he still won't say it. But
so
you know,
almost getting an acquittal, but ending up with a hung jury despite the controversy was a near win for the defense last year. It's going to be tougher this time around.
Thank you.
A lot tougher. Because the prosecution has an opportunity to try to fix all those problems that seem to snowball against the prosecution and for the defense last time. All right, speaking of big witnesses, another big witness today. Let's go to
cover. Now I got to pause this because I have to be able to hear myself when I tell you this. You have dog toys. You don't have to take things that are not dog toys and play with them as though they're dog toys. Okay? You have like an insane amount of dog toys, son. Okay? Thank you. Just find the ones that don't make so much noise. Truth is, I don't really give a shit what you chew on down here. Just like as long as it doesn't make noise. I love you too, buddy. You good boy.
Go to Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson joining us live from outside the courthouse in Dedham tonight. Matt, great to see you. So today was one of those days where you have one and only one witness. What can you tell us?
Yeah, we haven't had too many days like that compared to the first trial last year, Vinny, but this was one of those days, day 12, and it was Yuri Buchanan. He was a supervisor of Trooper Michael Proctor, really minimizing Proctor's role in all of this. But aside from that, there was another big mood shift with this witness, and a big indication of how different trial 1 to trial 2 is. It's how they're presenting the evidence. First, they built a lot of different graphics, they're playing videos, but then they're also showing the evidence differently to the jury that's substantial, that you can hold. So that involved the clothing that Officer John O'Keefe was wearing. They were showing that to the jury today. They were showing his sweatshirt.
No, like, make no mistake. Like, I saw, like, nobody forgot about Jen McCabe. Make no mistake about that. Nobody forgot about Jen McCabe. But understand that they really got to bring this Higgins thing home. The Higgins thing is going to cause the most reasonable doubt. That's for sure. We're actually going to go over Microdot's latest video. It's amazing. It's amazing. Someone had to do it, and I'm so glad it was Microdots to do it. To go just like frame by frame, detailed explanation of what makes the most sense to interpret out of that footage in the waterfall. It's brilliant.
Shirt and also his t-shirt that were cut off his body, but they were showing it through plexiglass, and that's going to go back with this jury as they deliberate. That's a big difference from the evidence bags that we saw last year, but still it's a big moment, right? And he also showed this shoe and was talking.
I talked about this before, but it's like, dude, okay, listen, I actually get the whole thing. Like, to me, that's just effective presentation of evidence. Hold on one second. Yeah, to me, that's just effective presentation of evidence. You're gonna put the shirt, his hoodie, in this plexiglass thing so the jury can see the whole shirt, right? But the problem with this is it's not put in this thing to where it should be, to where you can see every single part of the shirt. It's folded and it's creased and it's, you know what I'm saying? There's pieces that you can't see in the shirt. So this seems like a ploy to cover evidence up. This is not, this is suspicious in and of itself, that this is how Hank Brennan wants to present this shirt to the jury, that he would go through that much trouble to put it in this plexiglass thing to create this very, very professional looking presentation, but look like he just threw it inside there, though. You know, that's not, it defeats the purpose. It actually kind of looks like he's trying to hide something. Well, it does, because you look at everything else that he's been doing. So when you look at everything else that Hank Brennan's been doing, it totally looks like he's trying to hide something by not putting this shirt flat, uncreased in this plexiglass.
Talking about the missing shoe of the victim. Listen to this.
Did anything stand out in particular about his set of clothing?
In particular, we were missing a sneaker of his. That was very significant to me. It caused me to have Michael Proctor contact the
Like, listen, I hate to harp on something that's so insignificant. But look, people are talking about this shirt and the plexiglass thing. Listen, I don't have a problem with the plexiglass presentation. I just don't see the big deal in it. To me, it's effective. It just makes sense. You don't like it because it's Hank Brennan that's doing it, and that's fine. I get it. You know what I mean? But like I said, like, he didn't even put an effort into like presenting it in the plexiglass the right way. That's my issue with it. Like, if you're gonna do it, you know. But I mean, you know, I feel like it could still preserve, depending on how they put it in there, and you know, as long as it's sterile, I don't see the issue. You know what I mean? It's going to preserve the evidence just fine. Maybe, I don't know. In theory, maybe, but I don't really know. But no, I don't have such an issue with it. Mandy BS is a member for 45 months. Oh my god.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad.
How dare you?
Oh, Norman Corey, thank you. Good morning, Will. I emailed you 2 evidence photos of the sneaker. Check it out. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm all set though with the sneaker photos. I got all the ones I ever need forever and ever. But thank you so much. And what's Olivia saying? What's up, Olivia? It's good to see you. No, Will, they did this because it allowed them to get rid of the evidence bags with these clothing came in, which was a source of scandal at trial 1. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I get that too. That makes sense. But I mean, what I'm talking about is, I mean, it's apples and oranges. I get that. But what I'm talking about is just like people think that it's disrespectful or something, you know, and the way that I'm looking at it is just like, no, man. I mean, it makes sense to just like present that shit to the jury in a flawless way. Okay, but you know, they didn't. They didn't. So it's kind of a moot point. But I get what you're saying.
Paramedics that transported Mr. O'Keefe to the hospital and confirmed with them, conduct a secondary check that that sneaker was not left behind in the ambulance.
Why was the missing sneaker significant to you at that point?
At that point, our theory had evolved to a vehicle strike based on the injuries, and I was suspecting that he was hit out of his shoes.
I mean, that's key testimony for this second jury, right? Because the first jury was a little bit confused.
But see, it is key testimony, but not in the way that you're explaining it, dude. It's key testimony because it's showing that this dude is totally dishonest. This is the best cross-examination for the defense yet. Bukaki just sat up there getting crossed for a day and a half, and Jackson's not done with him. We're getting round 3 on Monday. Jackson's not done with him, but I'm telling you that this is basically, I'm of the opinion at this point that Bukaki basically destroyed the prosecution's look to the jury single-handedly. All of this stuff, I mean, that waterfall footage, that is it. I mean, we're gonna go over that because I still want to open phone lines, but I don't want to be live all night either. So we're gonna go over Microdot's video. Because it's amazing. And of course, if you have not already, stop what you're doing right now. Go give this a like. I mean, and this I think has the most views of any of his videos yet I think he said something about that in Patreon. So this is crazy. Like this is by far my favorite and most informative of Microdot's videos, I would say, so far. And I'm very blessed because he sampled my voice at the beginning, which is really cool. I feel like I was totally fanboying too when I heard that. I was like, man, that's awesome. How cool.
You gotta understand something, dude. Microdots is a fucking force. Make no mistake that if this dude gets a hold of you, bro, once he picks up that set, he's not letting it go.
Dude, Richie's
Everything
so
you
badass.
experience is part of a chain. Every moment preceded by another. That's why in criminal investigations, detectives begin at the moment the crime occurred and work backward, piecing together what led up to it. The closer an event in time and space to what happened, the more critical it becomes. In the Reed case, there exists a rare and invaluable piece of evidence. The Waterfall video. A 75-minute continuous recording capturing the victim and the small group of people he interacted with before suffering fatal injuries. Rather than analyze its contents fully, investigators treated it as little more than a tool to tally Karen's drinks. Had they truly wanted to solve the crime, they would have done exactly what we are about to do.
What you're about to do, Richie.
It's nearly 2 minutes to midnight. At the Waterfall bar, the Albert and McCabe party decide it's time to leave. They gather their belongings and start moving towards the door. Chris Albert is being playful with Jen McCabe, hiding her jacket behind his back. He hugs his niece Caitlin goodbye, since he is not attending the after party. John is facing the bar, attending to the check. Karen is engaged in conversation with Karina. Karina and husband Nick have remained supportive of her innocence since the beginning. On the date this occurred, they had known both John and the McCabes for years. As Brian Albert, his brother, Selectman Chris Albert, and ATF agent Brian Higgins move towards the exit, an interesting exchange occurs. We will watch the next 20 seconds uninterrupted, then break it down frame by frame.
Bro, everything I said at the beginning of this video that he fucking sampled, I meant with like every bit of my gut.
Let's watch again, looking closer, and try to determine what exactly is happening. Brian Higgins is looking in John's direction. Chris Albert says something to sister-in-law, Nicole, as she steps towards the door. Daughter Caitlin Albert is closest to the exit. Brian Albert enters frame right. Brian and Nicole continue. We see Higgins focused, like a laser beam on John. And Chris Albert's attention has now shifted directly onto Higgins, appearing to sense what he is about to do. Higgins goes to raise his arm and shout to the victim, but before he can even bring it above his waist, Chris Albert aggressively grabs his forearm, preventing it from happening. The significance of Chris Albert's actions cannot be overstated. They reveal clear prior knowledge, an unmistakable anticipation of hostility directed towards John. There is simply no other valid way to explain how Chris would know what Higgins was about to do before he did it. I'm not suggesting anyone intended to kill John, only that there had to have been prior discussion, if not some form of coordinated plan to confront him. Now,
I completely agree. Now, Let's talk about that for a second, because I did tweet. Now, it's pure speculation. I want to disclaim that. Pure speculation. But there is talk of a premeditated thing. There's no proof that I've seen of this. Okay? No proof at all. But I have to say that at the end of the day, it makes no sense that it's premeditated, simply because of how John was disposed of, for lack of a better term. So it doesn't really add up. It screams spontaneous problem that took place and dealt with accordingly on the fly, is what it seems like. So a premeditated murder, I'm just not leaning that way, but I am entertaining the possibility of it. It is a possible. It is possible. It's just not likely, in my opinion. Now, the fact is that the only reason that John ended up at the waterfall with Karen was because Chris Albert allegedly invited him earlier that day when John O'Keefe went into D&E Pizza with his nephew. Now, what they discussed, who knows? I've heard rumors that that they were discussing the issue with Colin. I don't know anything if that's true or not, but there is clearly a prior knowledge, which could have just taken place there at the Waterfall Bar and Grill. Now, what Microdots does, I should set this up just to make it much easier for everyone to understand. What Microdots does here is almost a subconscious homage to Christopher Nolan's Memento, where he basically tells the story backwards. So you're going to see bits and pieces that and the purpose of him doing this, it seems like, is to explain each action that you just saw, to give a good solid explanation for the action that you just witnessed and took place. Now, what's up, Mizzy? It's good to see you. Now, it's absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Because clearly there is a focus on John. The mood absolutely shifts, and Richie does an amazing job. Microdots does an amazing job here of shifting. He does an amazing job of pointing out the shift in the mood, pinpointing the time where the shift in the mood takes place between Higgins and Brian Albert. And it happens when John and Karen walk into the Waterfall Bar and Grill. It's fascinating because it can't be a coincidence. This is my favorite Microdots video, for sure.
Now, we can operate under the assumption that these three men know something about John's future that we do not. Chris grabs Higgins by the arm, turning him back around to face him directly. This unexpected outburst from his brother catches Brian's attention. And Higgins, whipping his head toward Chris, seems just as taken aback by the sudden hostility as we are. Notice that Chris is grasping Higgins' shirt so tightly that you can see tension in the fabric. And as much tension on his face. Chris pushes Higgins' arm down to his side. He fixes him with a hard, unflinching stare.
Yeah, like, don't fuck up in here. I work.
Chris releases his grip.
Or I work across the street.
Higgins turns his head toward Brian, deferring to his authority and seeking his approval. But Chris steps squarely in front of Higgins and puts both of his hands on him again. Higgins is rattled. Brian raises his palms facing upward, a universal gesture of confusion, questioning Chris's protest. Higgins continues to fix his gaze on John, peering over Chris's right shoulder.
Wild.
Meanwhile, Chris stands in a posture strikingly similar to that of a bouncer stepping in to defuse a confrontation. Higgins steps back and shifts his focus again to Chris, prompting Chris to release his grip on Higgins' left arm for the second time. Higgins stares blankly. The two men exchange a few words as Chris gestures towards the exit. Chris is trying to assert control over the situation. However, both men turn their attention to Brian Albert as he intervenes. Brian challenges Chris's position with his voice and body, causing Chris to throw up his arms in frustration.
See, that's fascinating. See, this is a visual representation of the kind of power that, and an instinctive, like a territorial, an animalistic power that Brian Albert has over that pack. He is the alpha of that group. They all look to him for approval. Nobody does a thing without his approval. They all turn to him. Ultimately, it comes down to what Brian Albert suggests and wants out of this situation. Very fascinating.
There's clearly a disagreement between the Albert brothers. It appears that Chris either disapproved of Higgins confronting John altogether, or he was uncomfortable with him doing it so publicly. I lean towards the latter. Ultimately, however, it is Brian who holds authority and makes the final decisions.
Right.
Chris is overruled by his older brother. Higgins has the green light and is allowed to continue. Chris submits, but is still clearly on edge.
Yeah. Brian Albert is like, yo, that's between them. Like, let that man do what he's got to do. Why are you trying to stifle this man from? Brian Albert has been, in my opinion, and you'll see what I mean throughout the extent of this video, but I am of the opinion, when you watch the entirety of the events that take place in this video, when I did this, I came to the opinion that Brian Albert instigated this entire thing, that he was just pulling Brian Higgins' strings in a sense of egging him on. You know, I don't think he was following orders. I think that Brian Albert, I think Brian Higgins is such a fucking cuck that he sees himself as a lower subordinate in the evolution of things when it comes to Brian Albert. He's got a man crush on Brian Albert. He wants to impress Brian Albert. He wants everything. He wants Brian Albert to be impressed by him. He wants Brian Albert to give him approval. He wants validation from Brian Albert. He wants to feel equal to him in some way because he doesn't. And it's sad and fucking pathetic, really. And Brian Albert knows this. I suspect Brian Albert to be a cold-blooded motherfucker that gets off on shit like that. Gets off on having the ability to manipulate somebody who thinks of him in that way. Like, you remember this movie called Alpha Dog? Okay? Alpha Dog, Emile Hirsch, Justin Timberlake. True story, right? Bruce Willis, Ben Foster. So, in this movie, Alpha Dog, Emile Hirsch's character is this dude named Johnny Truelove, right? And he's got this dude that hangs out with him. Like, he's like the top guy because his dad's his big time drug dealer, right? So he's got all these dipshits that hang out with him. and they all suck up to him, right? And this dude Elvis is the dude that does whatever the fuck Brian Albert or whatever the fuck. Well, yeah, but whatever the fuck Emil Hirsch's character wants, Johnny Truelove. This dude Elvis, he does everything. And like they were like high at one point, and he was like fucking with him. Like, I bet you would suck his fucking dick if he told you to suck his dick. I bet you anything. If he fucking told you to suck his dick, you'd suck his dick. That's the dynamic that I sense from Higgins and Brian Albert. I feel like Chris Albert or Kevin Albert would be sitting there shit-faced drunk with Brian Albert and Brian Higgins and be like, Brian Higgins, yo, Higgy, I'll bet you anything, dude, like you'd suck fucking Brian Albert's dick, bro, right now. If you fucking wanted you to. If he fucking told you to do it, you'd fucking do it, bro. Like, stop. Come on. That's the kind of dynamic where they would he would have to think about it. They would be busting his balls going, oh, look, bro. Like, he's even thinking about it. He's thinking about it. That's that kind of dynamic I imagine Brian Higgins has in the food chain when it comes to the McAlberts. That's what I think. And I think that Brian Albert took advantage of this that night and just fucked with him, pulled his strings. And you'll see what I mean as we watch this.
As the brothers settle the matter with a few final words, Higgins presses on, shifting his focus back to John. Even with reduced resolution and a tight zoom, Higgins's agitation is unmistakable. He appears to be incensed, clearly gesturing, "Let's go." He briefly makes eye contact with Brian Albert.
Higgins is drunk and he's got something to prove. That's all this is. He feels like he's got something to prove to the fucking Albert brothers. And it's gay as fuck. Like, if I'm being totally honest, it's gay as fuck.
Puts his hand to his forehead. Chris guides Higgins towards the door, touching his back, using his body as a physical barrier.
Thank you.
But Higgins isn't done. Chris watches him closely. Higgins remains preoccupied with John, while Chris maintains a stance resembling someone preventing a confrontation. Pay close attention to the next sequence of frames. You'll see Chris appear to say something to Higgins, likely a command such as go or okay. In response, Higgins shows clear defiance, stepping past Chris and openly calling out to John in full view of everyone. Here we go. Chris speaks and puts his hand on Higgins' back to guide him out for the second time. Now, Higgins will react defiantly, ignore Chris, step past him and attempt to get John's attention vocally and by waving and pointing. Higgins defies Chris's instruction to get going. Chris is not happy with this. His stare is ice cold and locked on Higgins. Higgins sidesteps Chris and is animated. Then Chris turns to look at John to see what his reaction is.
See, I mean, I wonder if anybody talked to these band guys. Like, they're walking right between all that shit. You're going to tell me, I mean, it's not like the band is playing. They're walking by with their gear. They can't hear what the fuck is going on.
But John, still dealing with paying his tab, has seen nothing. Not yet.
And you didn't say goodbye to John, right?
I don't think I said goodbye to anybody.
And you didn't talk to him about coming over the 34th Fairview?
No.
Neither Brian Higgins, Chris Albert, or Brian Albert ever...
Look at this guy, dude. This guy is... This guy runs the whole fucking thing, and he does it just with his fucking presence. This guy just fucking emits fear. Look at him. That's a scary motherfucker, dude. I don't give a fuck who you are, dude. That is a scary dude. His eyes are stone cold.
Acknowledged what we are seeing with our own eyes. Now, picking up exactly where we left off, there's a few things that happen worth pointing out. First, we'll focus on Higgins. Let's watch it at normal speed, then take it frame by frame. And we'll sync it with a close-up of John to gauge his reaction. Now is a crucial moment to remind you, it's 11:58 p.m.
Yeah,
In
I'm
about
not gonna
30
lie,
minutes,
dude.
John will be fatally...
I'm not gonna lie. Brian Albert scares the shit out of me, dude. He scares the fucking living piss out of me, dude. No lie.
injured. Cue the tape. In 3, 2, 1. Let's watch it again. Slow it down.
Let's do that. But before...
Oh, here we go.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad.
How dare
Sarah Berger, thank you so much. When it gets to John O'Keefe looking down at his own feet, he is doing the steps they are taught during boxing courses at cop school. A retired police officer explained this last year and said the name of the move. Oh, that's very interesting because I noticed that too. He's like, yeah, dude, like, I'll square off with this motherfucker. He's like, when you see John O'Keefe, how he reacts to Higgins behaving the way that he is, I could totally tell the attitude. I know what the fuck happened, bro. I know totally what the fuck happened. I mean, I don't know what happened once he got to the house, but I know what John O'Keefe's mindset was. I'm going to get into this shit. We're going to talk about this. You're going to see what I'm talking about.
Down and look a wee bit closer. Higgins is desperately trying to get John's attention, but John still has his back turned. By the time John turns to look, Higgins has shifted his gaze to Brian Albert, likely pointing at Brian while telling John to go to his home at 34 Fairview Road. Then, as Higgins turns back toward John, he sees that John has already looked away, prompting Higgins to abort the next hand gesture he was just about to...
See, John strikes me, I could, like, by the text messages to Karen that day, where he's being kind of a dick, right? But how is he being a dick? He's being dismissive, right? He's being dismissive. He strikes me as the kind of guy that just generally is the kind of guy that's just like, dude, you know what, man? What the fuck ever, bro? You know what I mean? Which is a good thing, can be a bad thing, but is generally a pretty good thing, you know? But being probably, I mean, John O'Keefe, as I understand it, was a bit of a mass hole, as it were, right? That's fair to say that John was a bit of a mass hole, right? He was a Boston cop. This is a guy who didn't back down from a fight, but he didn't go out looking for him either, right? I mean, this is pretty much what I'm gathering from the kind of guy that he might have been. I don't know him. I didn't know him. I don't like to presume to know someone who I don't. Especially, I don't want to disrespect his loved ones in that way. But what I'm assessing based on the little that I do know, I'm getting that impression is all I'm going to say. But he seemed like a very chill dude who didn't like conflict, but wouldn't really back down from it either. You know what I'm saying? definitely didn't go looking for it. And you could kind of see that here. Because understand something, folks. Those text messages reveal something. Karen, at one point in those text messages that Bukkake was reading, took all day to read, tells Higgins that the kiss that they had, or at least them embracing or whatever, was caught on his Ring camera. Right? And he asked her, she tells him in the text that he asked her, are you guys hooking up? John knew that there was something going on between Higgins and Karen. John knew it. Those text messages prove it. Or at least Karen alleges it in those text messages. Right? So that's just what we know in the text messages. God knows, who the fuck knows what Karen and John talked about in person as far as that goes. How much conversation took place? What was said? None of us are ever going to fucking know that. And it's none of our business. But what I'm saying is, I'm just trying to illustrate the point that Karen, or that John knew that there was something amiss in regards to Karen and Brian Higgins. John knew about it. And he knew about it before this meeting at the Waterfall. I don't think that he knew that Brian Higgins was going to be at the Waterfall. And he comes up to him first. You'll see this too.
Out to make. Higgins looks and sees members of the band carrying equipment out, then steps back to give them space to pass. Then he finally makes direct eye contact with John. He points outside, telling John to come to Brian Albert's home. His posture rigid, and each motion he makes is laced with tension. John says something back to him, then glances over to Matt, who seems to have also witnessed the interaction. Consider how determined Higgins was to deliver the message to John. He endured a tense confrontation with Chris Albert, made multiple unsuccessful attempts to catch John's attention, and deliberately lingered behind the rest of his group, refusing to leave until he was absolutely certain the message had been received. Karen and Karina were so deeply engaged in conversation that they remained completely unaware of everything.
Now, look at John. He's smiling. He's smiling. He's like, is this fucking happening right now?
Everything that had just unfolded around them. John is smiling. Whatever message Higgins was trying to send, it clearly didn't land with the weight he intended. John appears relaxed and confident, an important detail, as this reflects his mindset just before he would enter 34 Fairview Road.
Very important. Now he takes a sip of his beer. He's swaying a little bit, and now he's like, yeah, all right.
John leans over to Matt, who is
do
just
I got
out of
my
view,
legs about me?
likely making...
Right there, he's like, do I got my legs about me? Very, very important right here.
John leans...
So he's basically, yeah, he's been drinking all day, but he's like, like that was clearly, I mean, if we could tell that from the video and there's no band playing anymore, John could hear at least to some degree what Higgins was saying to him, because he was yelling from across the bar. People were trying to get Higgins to calm down. Physically. Chris Albert made an effort to calm Brian Higgins down. So there was clearly a sense of aggression there. And John O'Keefe clearly knew it.
John leans over to Matt, who is just out of view, likely making another comment about the outburst. Then appears to say something about it to Chris Albert and Jen McCabe, before he is interrupted by the bartender to sign the check. In exactly 22 minutes sent from the crime scene, Higgins texts John a message that, viewed in context, takes on a sinister tone.
I mean, it's
That
also,
text, combined with the...
it's also in writing that Higgins was trying to get John to 34 Fairview.
Footage we've just reviewed should have made Brian Higgins the primary suspect of John's murder. We've established that Brian Albert...
Let's hear
Brian
Microdot
Higgins
say that
suspect
one more
aimed with the
time.
footage we've...
Let's hear Microdot say that one more time because it's very important and it's very true.
That text, combined with the footage we've just reviewed, should have made Brian Higgins the primary suspect of John's murder.
Absolutely.
We've established that Brian Albert, Brian Higgins and Chris Albert seemed to have prior knowledge of a confrontation with John. But for that to be true, we would expect to see some evidence of it earlier in the night. Now, we will rewind the tape 9 minutes to find just that. It's getting late and the bar will be closing soon. John is standing here with Karen, who has her back facing us. They are speaking to Jen McCabe. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins are standing here and appear relaxed. Roll the film, please. Chris Albert approaches Brian and Higgins. Everything seems normal at first. They smirk. The three men's body language changes. They speak.
There's clearly some shit going down. This is just before they close out and start to leave, and Higgins starts yelling from across the bar. Okay? This is just before that. Think about how fucking shady this looks right here. Chris Albert, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert sitting there talking shit, powwowing.
Speak closely and glance towards John and Karen. Chris looks directly at them. Then he pivots back, engaging in conversation with more discretion than before. Chris leans in to listen to Brian. Chris gestures towards them with his hand. They become more excited.
Look at this shit.
Brian whispers into Chris's ear.
The Alberts and Higgins have their own thing going on. And again, this is going to go backwards, okay? He's going to go over footage that takes place before this, after this part's done.
There's no way to know exactly what these three men were discussing. However, their body language is consistent with precisely the kind of interaction one might expect to precede Brian Higgins' taunting just 9 minutes later.
"19 minutes earlier."
It's 11:30. The man at the center of your screen is one Brian Higgins. The surveillance camera detects the infrared light emitted by his iPhone's True Depth camera, which is used for Face ID. This is Officer John O'Keefe. He would be nearly dead in about 1 hour, sustaining fatal injuries that the most credentialed experts determined were not from a vehicle. Across the table is Karen Reed. She is the girlfriend of John O'Keefe, and also the woman that Brian Higgins has been obsessed with for weeks up until this point. However, she had cut off communication with him roughly a week earlier and has completely ignored his presence since arriving at the bar.
Say hello, shake your hand, give you a hug.
No, she did not.
No, she didn't do any of those things, did she?
No.
It was like you didn't even exist.
Both Brian Higgins and Brian Albert have been drinking all day long.
It's like you didn't even exist.
We'll get closer and watch as
Bit
Higgins
bad,
repeatedly steals glances at Karen. She is standing here. In 1 minute and 35 seconds, he will finally break down and text her. Leading up to that moment, we'll see him look in her direction at least 3 times. 1. 2. 3.
Yeah, man. He's fixated.
At 11:32, the weight of Karen's indifference becomes unbearable. He gives in to temptation. In a whiskey-fueled haze, he removes his phone from the front pocket of his sweatshirt.
There we go.
Composing a juvenile message designed to nudge her into interacting with him.
Well...
It doesn't matter that John O'Keefe is standing right there, a few feet away from him. Higgins is determined to get attention from Karen, whatever the consequences may be. From this point forward, Higgins can be seen frequently checking his phone, presumably awaiting Karen's response.
Exactly.
But that response would never come, surely adding to his humiliation and anger.
Now watch this.
At 10:54, Karen and John enter the bar. On the surface, everything appears normal.
Immediately, John goes up to Brian Higgins. Now, is it simply because it just made sense to go around that side of the bar? Or around that side of the table, and he was the first one?
10:50.
It looks like it. So it could have just been
At
something
10:54,
that simple.
Karen and John
But
enter
Karen
the bar.
went the other way.
On the surface, everything appears normal, but there are already subtle signs foreshadowing the darkness this...
Yeah, like, you got to understand that right now, it's naive to think that John O'Keefe didn't walk up to Higgins at that very moment thinking, this motherfucker doesn't even know that I know that he's been trying to fuck my girl. You know what I mean? It's naive to not assume that, knowing what we know now, knowing what we know via those text messages. Actually, I've known this since last year. But John knew that there was something going on between Higgins and Karen. He didn't know exactly what. He didn't know to what degree, or maybe he did. Maybe Karen was totally honest with him about it, for all we know. Right? Who knows? But it's fascinating because we know that he already asked her if they hooked up. So it's naive to think that he didn't walk up to him right there going, hey, and give him a hug and thinking in his head, like, this motherfucker has the balls to fucking hug me and act like we're homies. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
This night is destined to bring. Brian Albert leans closely into Higgins to make a comment, seemingly about Karen, since she's standing right there and just walked in.
See, here's what I think just happened. If I'm using my imagination, because I don't hear, but I've seen this happen
100 million times in a bar. In my 20s, in my 30s, 100 million times. Okay? Hell, I've worked in bars. I've seen it. Where Brian Albert most likely leaned over to Brian Higgins and said something about Karen Reed derogatory, most likely, or to some degree, maybe even something as innocent as she's cute, right? And this sparks in Higgins where he's like, I gotta tell him about her. Unless he's already talked to him about her. Unless he's been like, yo, you know this Karen Reed chick, John's girlfriend? She's been texting me, blah, blah, blah. Because they just went to New York and attended some funeral together. So who knows if this came up in conversation in this long drive? It possibly did. And then maybe that's why Brian Albert leaned over to him and was like, yo, check it out. Look who it is. It's your girl. Right? Or, like I said, maybe Brian Albert leaned over and just said, hey, this chick, what do you think? She's hot, right? Or something like that. And then Higgins was just like, I got to tell him what's been going on. Because he feels it'll impress him. He thinks now he has a window to impress Brian Albert and tell him about it.
Then Higgins glances at John. He comments to Brian. And Brian leans back in to say something in return. Higgins shakes his head and laughs. Higgins points to Brian, requesting to step away for a private word.
See what I mean?
Higgins signals, over here.
Yeah, come here, man.
Not even.
Let me holler at you real quick. Like, some shit just happened where Brian Albert said something about Karen to him, and then he just fucking decided right then and there, I'm going to tell him about the fact that I've been fucking texting with her and shit. And then what Brian Albert does is goes, well, what do you mean, dude? Like, fucking then get your girl, hook up with her. Dude, if you don't go home with her tonight and fuck her, you're a fucking pussy, dude. That's the kind of shit that I imagine coming from Brian Albert to Higgins. Just to entertain himself. He's got this simp motherfucker that sucks up to him, and he could fuck with him for his own entertainment. He could pull his strings and be like, dude, if you don't fuck her tonight, dude, you're a fucking pussy, dude. Like, I always wondered if you were fucking gay. And now, if you don't fuck her, I'm going to know you're gay, dude. That's that kind of shit. That's that bullshit. Now, this is totally how I think that happened. Look.
Even Brian's wife, Nicole, should hear this. Higgins leans in very closely to Brian's ear. What subject matter requires this level of secrecy? The discussion continues.
Look, I don't even want to hear it.
They seem very excited.
Look, right there. This is how this went down. I don't even want to hear it. If you don't fuck her tonight, you're a pussy. Fuck you. I don't even want to hear it.
The discussion continues.
What? I'm a pussy? What? What? No, you're gay. You're
they
gay.
Seem very excited and
See what I mean? See what I mean?
Higgins looks at Karen.
Prove it.
Repeatedly. He can't seem to stop himself from watching her.
Childish. Fucking childish.
Meanwhile, John appears to be oblivious to whatever is developing around him. The two men touch hands in agreement.
Dude, what if she doesn't want to come home with me? Blah, blah, blah. Just whoop his ass. Fuck him up. Dude, you're a Fed. You got fucking how many pounds on this guy? Whoop his ass. If you don't fuck him up and take his girl tonight, you're fucking gay. That's what Brian Albert was doing to him. I guarantee it. I guarantee it, because I think Brian Higgins is the kind of fucking simp you could do that to if you're Brian Albert and you're drinking. I absolutely believe that. Everything that I saw in the way that he talked to Karen in those texts, I believe that shit wholeheartedly. This dude has no fucking backbone when it comes to fucking interactions with people. Like, he just fucking crumbles.
Higgins taps Brian's arm, requesting he step away once again to discuss something sensitive. And back to the corner they go. Higgins asks questions, and Brian gives answers.
Yeah, if you don't fuck him up right here, right now, you're a pussy. Right here, right now. Fucking microdots, right? All right, man. The phone lines are open, y'all. So if anybody wants to call in, let's do it. Let's do it. Dude, microdots is amazing. Put that link in the chat one more time. Who's this? What? Hello? It's a blocked number, but they won't say anything. Anyway.
Call from Juanita.
Oh my
To
God.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Juanita! Oh, Juanita hung up. Juanita. No, don't do that to me, Juanita. How dare you, Juanita? Bro, maybe I'll get a decorated dude call.
Call from
Chad. Chad, what's up, buddy? You're on.
I can't believe you're still awake. I'm calling from Alberta, and it's late here too. So
Alberta, Canada. Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What time is it in Alberta?
It's 20 after 12, so midnight.
It's 20. It's 20 after 2 here.
Yeah, because you're on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So
what's up, buddy?
So I don't know.
Fine.
This trial 2.0, like I was watching this trial back, like when it first started,
right?
And this is the stuff that's going on, like in the last couple of weeks, like how does the judge not dismiss the case outright?
Yeah, the fact that it even went to trial in the first place, I mean, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's so much. The fact that she didn't even recuse herself in the first place with the clear conflict of interest that there was is crazy.
Yeah.
But we're way past that now. That's why nobody even talks about it anymore.
Well, the thing is, John was never hit by a car.
Right.
So the thing is like, I don't know what happened. Like John could have started the fight in the first place, and then it went too far.
I'm not dismissing that as a possibility. Honestly, after the video we just saw, I think that John went over there to fight Higgins. I don't think that he told Karen about it.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
but the fact is that Karen's not involved in this at all.
No.
Like, I'm so disgusted with this. Like, living in Canada, the politics and everything else, living in a con world, and this trial's going on, and it's consumed me for the last year and a half or whatever it was. Like, I don't even know how I even came across this case. Like, was it you or Melanie or maybe it was Baker? I don't know.
I don't know, man, but
like,
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about this case now. That's for sure. It's like,
it's blowing up, and
the TikTok videos are going crazy now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my thoughts. You know, like I don't think it was a planned thing. I think things went out of line. Who started it? I don't know. But I think Colin might have something to do with why people are doing their best.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think there was a plan in place to do something to him, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I
think
somebody went too far and hit him in the back of the head too hard, and then they panicked.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
That's exactly what I see. So I pretty Karen. I've donated to her case, but the exchange rate is not very good. You know.
Yeah.
You know. So like, I donated to Karen's case, but I'm surprised she's. I don't know. What do we do? Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for calling. I really appreciate you, buddy. All right. Well, don't stay up too late in Alberta. Don't party too hard.
No, you bet. Okay. Take care, man.
You too. Have a good one.
Bye.
You're on. Who am I speaking with? I guess not. Let's take another call, shall we?
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with? Hello.
This is Dana.
Who?
Hello, can you hear me? Dana?
Yeah, you're breaking up real bad.
Can you hear me now?
Not really.
How's that?
Yeah, you got a real bad connection.
Well, I'll turn back.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, I dropped.
Is it me?
Am I really live?
Yeah, you're live right now. How you doing?
All right, hold on. Let me get away from my computer. Hi, Sunny Drop.
Sundrop?
Yes, Sunny Drop.
Okay,
How
yeah.
you doing?
Yeah, I've got a weak internet signal is what it is. It's my fault.
It's not on my end. I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, but they're my chat is telling me that I'm freezing up.
Okay.
Well, it looks like it's coming back. Looks like it's getting better. Okay, I think we're good.
So do you want me to tell you my theory?
Sure, let's hear your theory.
So everyone theories, right? So this is my latest theory. I watched the first trial. I've watched a lot of everybody, of Turtle Boy. I've watched Melanie Little a lot. Have you noticed that in this new trial, talking about the garage finally, the garage door? Because they didn't talk about that in the first trial at all.
The garage door? No, they talked about the
Yeah.
they talked about the side door. Yeah.
But there's two doors right there, right? So
There's
let's
the front door,
imagine,
and then there's a side door that's like right next to the front door.
yeah, and then the garage door that's right next to the side door, there's a garage door right there, right?
I
So
yeah.
Alan Jackson has mentioned the garage door a couple times.
Okay.
And if you look on the Zillow listing for 31 or 34 Fairview, it shows you a lot of pictures of the house. It shows you pictures of the living room, bedroom, backyard, front yard, but it doesn't show you pictures of the garage, which is
Okay.
weird. So I live in California. So I lived in San Francisco for 10 years. Having a garage is like a really big deal to me, especially when you have to park on the street, right? Why wouldn't they show pictures of the garage?
I have
listing.
no idea. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, are there stairs in the garage going into the basement?
I don't know. That's a good question.
We wouldn't know. We wouldn't know unless someone knows. So my question is, does anyone know?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
I don't know.
So let's find that out. That's my question.
Yeah, Microdots would know. I don't know.
Has he been in the house?
I have no idea if he's been inside or not. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna end this call, but I'm gonna refresh because the connection is just bad, and
Okay,
the last 2-3 every call has been bad, so it's on my end. So I got to see if I can refresh and make it better.
Well, nice talking with you, Claire. Have a great night. Okay.
You too. Thanks for calling.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right. Let's try this again. No.
Call from
Rose from LA.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, it's Rose from LA. How are you?
Hi, Rose from LA. I'm doing well. How are you?
Do you have a better connection now?
I feel like I do. Yeah.
Okay, good. I can hear you great. So I'm glad you're up late nights. And hold on a second. I want to have it go here. There we go. Quick. Why is it that Microdot's video is perfectly clear and so great? And then in Courtroom, there's this overexposed, barely visible, not very clear version of the bar video. Do you know what I'm talking about?
And you're breaking up real bad again.
Is your phone near your microphone? There were people on the chat saying that.
No, it's just it's the connection. I don't know why. It's just a bad.
That's weird. I'm sorry. You can't hear me. I'll hang up and that's okay. If you can hear.
I can hear you good sometimes, but sometimes it just goes real bad. It's probably just a bad night for connection with Google Voice. I don't know.
Bad connection line. I hear you. Well, that's okay. I was just trying to see, the video is not clear in Courtroom.
Well, are you talking about when they use Microdots' videos in the Courtroom?
No, I was just talking about even for Friday's testimony. when they're showing, everybody at the bar, it's so overexposed. You can't see it clearly, unlike microdots, which is very clear.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, microdots is just a
It's hard to
professional.
see in the video in the courtroom. Yeah, it's hard to see it
Well,
in there. I wish
and
it was clear.
it's hard to see also because you have to understand that we're watching something secondhand. We're watching a TV on our TV. Does that make sense?
TV from a TV. Yeah, no, for
Right.
sure.
Like we're not getting
Yeah.
the straight feed. We're just getting what the people in the courtroom are seeing.
Yeah, I get that. It just seems like it's much more exposed, brighter, like harder to. The lighting is just bad. I just want
Yeah.
people to really have a clear to really clearly see it because there's a lot of information here. We want to be sure the jury gets the right bits that we want them to know so they can make the right decision.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll let you go if it's a bad connection. Thanks for staying up late. I hope you have a great Saturday night, Sunday, Mother's Day, all that. And keep doing what you do. It's appreciate you.
All right. You too. Thanks, Rose.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Yeah, that's kind of driving me crazy, but hopefully it gets better. I'll try a couple more calls and just kind of fight through it, but it's getting on my last nerve, if I'm being honest. I don't like bad connections. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, again.
Hello?
You hear me better this time?
Nope.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. I'm sorry, Cheryl. It's not your fault.
Can you hear me okay?
No. All right, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I guess we're not doing the phone calls tonight because I can't get a clear connection. I don't know why. It's driving me crazy. I've already done that. I refreshed it, logged out, logged back on. It's just not a clear connection, and I'm plugged right into my router. So, yeah. And I'm bummed out because I really like doing the call-in shows. But yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna sit there and go through that all night. But I appreciate everybody who did take the time to call and make the effort. It was not your fault. It was not a connection on your end. None of you. It was all mine. So I'm sorry about that. Yes, it's not you. It's me. But yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, Scott McGinnis. But I still had fun hanging out with you guys tonight. Regardless, I really appreciate you guys. I thanks guys for everything, and I want to wish all of you moms out there a very, very happy Mother's Day. I think it's Mother's Day. It'll be Mother's Day officially on the West Coast in about 30 minutes. But it is already here on the East Coast in Central Time. So I did have fun hanging out with you guys tonight. Seriously, and a big shout out to Microdots. I feel honored that he sampled my compliments to him at the beginning of his video. It's very, 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 very cool. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. I appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. If you're new subscribers, I hope you're enjoying the channel. Hopefully next time the call-in shows will be a little bit better. But yeah, I'll hopefully, maybe, I don't know if I'll go live again tomorrow. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I have no idea. But yeah. Um, but Monday, most definitely, I'll be streaming the trial as usual. John was transported from basement to garage, put in Ford Edge trunk, and parked by pole. I mean, yeah, that's one theory. Sure. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate it. That is a theory. Oh, I need to get rid of that. But yeah. And I appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you guys so much. That really means the world to me. And don't forget that I am coming to Boston. Annie and I are going to Boston. We're riding to Boston, and we are bringing hell with us. It's going to be fun. We're going to rock Boston, me and Annie. So keep your ear to the grindstone for that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. You're just not going to know when. But anyways, guys, you guys are absolutely fantastic. You guys mean the world to me. I'm really grateful for all you guys. I love you guys very, very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.